You have to be on video. You are the limelight right now. All right. So guys, please do welcome Sharon George. Am I saying it right?
Yes.
And not to put her down, don't do what she has done all through her program with us. She has never come on video, so I'm seeing her for the very first time after she got a job. If you want to do this trick, play it wisely, but be on videos because I'm sure she did the interview with her video on.
I joined once with camera. That's all
Once, okay,
that.
great. In like 3 months, you came on web camera. I missed it. I mean, you should have put it on like with Wall Street Journal that you're coming on video. I would have seen it.
All right, all right.
So anyway, thank you for being here. Not to put you down. I don't want to take much of your time. It's just this is literally for 10 minutes, and there are pretty new students who just joined us. So I just want you to go through your journey, pretty much from your education, what you have done with your education, and right away jump into the interview. Because they all the students on the call will go through success stories like with other students, and they kind of understand how this success story goes with the recording. So after your education, how did your interview go with the job that you secured? So can you just cover those two things?
Yes. So I graduated with a PharmD in 2021, and I actually had no idea anything about PV. And I came across MediPharmSolutions, and I decided to give it a try. And basically, everything that I was able to speak on in the interview had to come from the core modules that MediPharm had given us. Every week we had a webinar, and a lot of it had to do with the core modules and then how to learn the system in PV. And that is what I can say helped me in my interviews. I didn't know anything about PV or its background, but with the weekly webinars that we had, I became slowly confident in what I could speak on in my interview. And having the medical degree did help in the background, but they really wanted to know if you knew the core of pharmacovigilance and what the process is, different assessments that you learn, and everything. All the information I learned was from MediPharmSolutions. And also I can say that also helped me, the core modules, but also just applying. I applied for months, every single day, probably 20 different applications. I applied on every search engine there was. I don't even remember half of them, but it was LinkedIn and ZipRecruiter as like my top ones that I always found listings on. I applied every single day. That's one thing Dr. Abhishek is going to tell everybody: apply, apply, apply. And once you get your foot in the door, just be flexible with whatever title that they're offering you, even if it's like an entry level, because you can grow immensely regardless of where you start. Dr. Abhishek, do you want me to include anything else, or did
Can
I?
you share? My next one was, I mean, I have like only three or four questions that I was writing about this thing. So the next
Mhm.
one is, can you just tell us what is your title?
Oh, it is drug safety specialist.
Okay, and what were some of the questions that were asked in the interview from a subject point?
Subject point. Have you done narrative writing before? Do you usually do data entry? Have you done QC? Because I think they hired me to do QC, so they really wanted to make sure that I had experience, or at least I knew how to review the data that was entered, what system I used. So I know we learned a lot about Argus. Every company uses a different system, but if you have some basis of Argus, it all kind of like is similar. That was a question. Um, what else? They asked me how to do seriousness assessment. See, what is it called? They asked me what the adverse drug reactions were, the various ones, A through E or whatever. They honestly didn't ask. Once you kind of say the answers to these questions, they kind of know that you know what you're talking about. So then it just led to what you can provide for the company. I'm not remembering a lot of the other questions that were answered, that were given, but that were asked. but that was like the main ones from what I remember.
I know we'll be on YouTube in like few months, this video. I like to share some trick of an interview that most people who are interviewing will not like this video. When someone asks you a question in the interview, did you do this? Your first answer, your first word should be yes, followed by I can do it, rather than giving a long explanation. And sometimes you may not have done the task, but maybe you say yes. You're always worried about a follow-up question. 99.9% they don't ask you a follow-up question. Hopefully this video will not kick me out, but that's fine. Um, so the other question I had is you started your job, I believe, this week, right?
Yes.
So this is pretty much your third, fourth day in your new job.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel? What is your 9 to 5 like right now? I know a lot of training probably, but just run us through your daily agenda, schedule.
So a lot of it is basically in the email. There's an email that's assigned to us from the company, and a lot of it goes into this drug safety inbox. So all of the cases that we get for the day, it like floods our inbox at 8:30. And what my title does right now, they're telling me to do data entry. So they taught me how to enter data in their specific version of Argus. And so what I've been doing is, and from 9 o'clock till let's just say 11, we'll be putting in information from the source document into this portal. And then from there, we'll email the director and he basically checks it and then tells us if there's things that we need to change. A lot of it is training right now, so I don't have much else to say on that, but I can say that in the future what they want us to do is data entry, but then they want me to go and like do QCing. So they want me to review things and check that the source document, whatever was written on the source document, is what is on the in the portal, and we're entering the right information. So a lot of it is kind of data entry, I guess, in the beginning, what I'm dealing with. And then a
Okay.
lot, yeah.
So my follow-up question is just from what you just narrated, the Argus classes that you took at MediPharm Solutions with the Argus, the login and everything that you did. Now, just be honest with with the students, because I don't want you to say something. This is not an interview. You already got a job, so just be yourself. Did you even practice one or two cases in Argus when you were in MediPharm Solutions?
Yes, I probably practiced twice just to see like the tab out and how like metro coding works. But I did not practice it before my interview or anything.
Yeah, but you kind of understood the layout and all those things. And
Yeah, I wanted to get more hands on of the tabs and everything, so I had something to talk about during my interview.
so when you went to the interview, were you confident that you will be able to answer any questions from the job descriptions, that you can kind of pull out the information from the core modules, or did you do anything other than the core modules?
I did the core modules the first time. So I had 2 rounds of interviews. For the first interview was a little bit more high level, so I only focused on the core modules. But then after they started asking me about QC and narrative writing, I went into those and whatever the sub modules were and read, watched those, read up on the PDF files just to be more um, versed on all of that, but mainly what helped me was the core modules because
Great.
they don't go really in depth into in the interviews. As long as you know what you're talking about, they don't really ask too much.
So the core modules are more than enough for you to ace any interview.
I would say so.
All right.
I think everything else is good background if you want to fluff up your interview, but I will say the core modules is what gave me the basis to talk on anything.
Nice. Good to hear that. Now, how many interviews did you do before this interview? Did you have any other interviews?
Surprisingly, it was only this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, and I know it was not easy in 2024. 2025 looks much better than 24 in terms of job market. But from 2024, what kept you going in applying? I know that your resume was kind of there, in terms of what you are doing. So what kept you going when you are applying for different roles, and uh, there will be bad days and bad weeks. But how did you go through that hump of like, okay, I'm going to get the next interview?
Um, just like motivation to get a work from home job. There were days, I'm not gonna lie and say that I there were days where I didn't apply, but I think just knowing that there were so many listings on LinkedIn and all these other websites, I was like, well, it's not going to hurt. Like, let me just see what happens. And even the company that I applied to, they reached out to me 6 months later. So that's when I realized, like, even if you don't hear back or even you get a no at first, you never know if they're going to reach back out to you down the line.
So
So
how did you come to know about me telling apply, apply, apply? Where did you get this from?
you told us.
In the classes?
Yeah, you told us to apply every day
Okay.
and like to
I
30 different things all the time.
used to say that like if you don't have a 9 to 5, your 9 to 5 is to apply for jobs.
Well, I would literally apply on my phone on my lunch break, come home, apply to 5 other jobs. I would try whatever
So
I
I,
could.
so I always get this question like, how is the market? Am I going to get a job? I heard that PV is being outsourced and PV is being like, AI is eating up everything in, PV. Or I heard from my IT friends that there are no jobs in pharmacovigilance. Everything is being outsourced to India and Philippines. What do you think of all these negative comments?
I haven't experienced any of this. I feel like I'm seeing all the job postings constantly on all these websites, and also even in our company, they're constantly hiring. I'd have never heard of anything being outsourced. Maybe I'm not on these platforms where they're saying that, but I've never been exposed to that. I've always assumed that everyone's applying, and if your resume is good enough and your interview is good enough, you get hired. I've never heard of any outsourcing.
So what is the I mean, this is the last question, and again, it's not leading. You can just deviate from what my opinion is. What is the most toughest part after the course is done, after you get certification done, and you're done with all the subject part? Now you have a resume in your hand. You're out there applying. Is applications the hardest part? Getting an interview is the hardest part. Getting through the interview is the hardest part in this
I
agency.
I think getting the interview, because I think once you get the interview, I don't think it's like, as long as you study properly, I don't think there's anything that's going to make you look any less than somebody who knows more about PV than you. I feel like getting the interview was the hardest part for me because I only got one interview. And luckily, I ended up doing well and getting the job. But out of all the maybe it was also like a lull. People, like, there's a time where not a lot of people are getting jobs. I'm assuming that was why. I don't know. But getting the interview was definitely the hardest part.
Right. So I just want this to be like, sinking into everyone on this call. I did not want to take another question, or I don't want to even ask another question, because I really want this point to sink into your thought process, into your psyche here. And because we talk a lot about the subject and how to go into Argus and this and that and everything, but by the end of the day, what she just told you is just a very powerful, I would say, success principle when you come to applying for jobs. The point is getting the first interview, getting a pharmacovigilance interview is the hardest part, not even getting a job. So all of you, like I know all of you on the call, with all the education you have, I don't think with the effort that you have put so far in your career, if you put 1/10 of it into the core modules, into what we are telling you here, and you consistently apply with the resume provided, you will get into an interview. But getting an interview is the hardest part, and after that everything is a downhill. And she's just into the job, like, third fourth day into the job. You can see that she's confident that she's going to sustain there and build a career out of it. And that's not because of a 3-month course that she has done with us. That is the platform, that is the basic foundation that she has acquired, which is important. But her mindset behind what she's narrating to you is from her education prior to that. If you're a medical doctor, you get into pharmacovigilance. You get into pharmacovigilance because you're a medical doctor, not because of MediPharmSolutions alone. And after that, what you do with that foundation or the springboard is all up to you. You can take it to, at any level that you want. You can be a safety physician. And the same thing, if you're a dentist, you can still do the same. If you're a pharmacist, yeah, go do safety sciences later on with signaling, risk, and all those things. So anyone coming from any background, I think getting the interview is the hardest part. The rest of it is pretty much a downhill from there. And I mean, she literally nailed it with what I just said. I don't want to take much of your time, Sharon, but I really wish you the best of luck. I know there's lot. I know you're doing a very boring job of data entry for now. I did it too. I did it for 6 months, and I said, man, my life is going to end here. But it did not end. So it did not end. I wish you best of luck, and we'll connect soon. If there's anything that you need from me or from MediPharm Solutions, please do connect with us.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abhishek. Good luck, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Stay
Thank
on
you,
the call.
Sharon.
Yeah, yeah. Please stay on the call. This call is not yet done.